The massive starship Resilience glided silently through the dark expanse of space, its sleek titanium hull reflecting distant starlight. Captain Kim Jae-won sat in the command chair, his eyes fixed on the holographic star map that flickered with soft blue lines and data points. Around him, the bridge hummed with quiet energy, a mix of advanced technology and human anticipation. Yoon-ji, the ship's lead xenobiologist, adjusted her scanning equipment. Her fingers moved quickly across multiple holographic screens, tracking microscopic changes in the surrounding space. She had been studying potential alien contact scenarios for years, but nothing could truly prepare her for what was about to happen. "Captain," called Kang-ho from the communication station, "I'm detecting an unusual quantum signature approaching our position." Jae-won leaned forward, his dark eyes narrowing. On screen, the main view screen flickered, revealing a massive crystalline vessel that seemed to shimmer between solid and translucent states. Its design was unlike anything humans had ever encountered, geometric patterns that shifted and changed, creating an almost living architecture. A sharp, electronic sound filled the bridge, followed by a transmission. The voice was cold, mechanical, and dripping with condescension. "Unidentified human vessel. You have entered restricted galactic exploration zone. Prepare for initial contact and classification assessment." Ho looked up from his console. "They're scanning us, Captain." Jae-won remained calm. Years of training had prepared him for unexpected encounters. "Maintain standard communication protocols. No aggressive responses." The alien vessel moved closer, its crystalline structure sending out complex scanning waves that washed over the Resilience. Inside the ship, every system momentarily flickered. Computers reset, screens blinked, and for a brief second, the humans felt a strange, tingling sensation. Yoon-ji's scientific curiosity overcame her initial caution. "Their scanning technology is decades, maybe centuries ahead of our current understanding," she whispered, more to herself than to anyone else. The alien transmission continued. "Species classification in progress. Technological level, primitive. Potential threat level, minimal. Recommendation, standard quarantine and observation protocol." Kang-ho's hands moved swiftly across his console, recording every detail of the transmission. His training kicked in, analyzing not just the words but the complex communication structures behind them. Jae-won understood something the aliens didn't. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in advanced technology or military might, but in adaptability. He had a calm smile that suggested he knew something the alien vessel's occupants did not. "Respond with standard diplomatic greeting," he instructed Ho. "Let them know we come in peace, but we're not submitting to their classification." The bridge crew exchanged quick glances. They all understood the significance of this moment. This wasn't just a first contact scenario. This was humanity's introduction to a larger, more complex galactic community. The alien vessel's scanning beams intensified. Complex mathematical algorithms began processing human biological and technological data. They were attempting to understand, to categorize, to limit. What they didn't realize was that humans had a unique capacity to defy categorization. Yoon-ji's instruments began picking up strange quantum fluctuations. The alien scanning technology was sophisticated, but it was about to encounter something it couldn't easily predict: human unpredictability. "Captain," she said quietly, "their scanning algorithms are hitting unexpected resistance. Our quantum signatures are changing." Jae-won nodded. This was exactly what he expected. The alien transmission suddenly became fragmented. For the first time, a hint of confusion entered their mechanical voice. Scanning. Disrupted. Data. Inconsistent. On the bridge, a low chuckle escaped Ho's lips. Humans were about to show the galaxy something extraordinary. The first contact had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The research facility buzzed with an electric energy that seemed to pulse through its white corridors. Park Sung-min stood before a massive holographic display, his fingers dancing across floating interfaces. Scattered around him were fragments of alien technology, intricate circuits, quantum processors, and strange crystalline components that seemed to defy normal physics. 3 days had passed since the first alien contact. While most of humanity was still processing the shock, Sung-min and his team were working around the clock. They had received encrypted technological schematics from the alien vessel, a kind of unintentional gift that would change everything. Choi. Yuna watched from a nearby workstation, her eyes tracking complex algorithmic patterns. She had developed a revolutionary translation program that could decode not just language, but technological languages. The subtle mathematical and quantum communication patterns that existed between advanced technological systems. "Look at this," Sungmin muttered, zooming into a quantum circuit diagram. Where most researchers would see incomprehensible complexity, he saw opportunity. The alien technology was advanced, centuries beyond human understanding. But humans had something the aliens didn't anticipate, an incredible capacity for rapid adaptation and creative problem-solving. Within hours, Sungmin had identified key structural weaknesses in the alien quantum processing design. By the second day, he had not only understood their technology, but had begun developing improvements. The alien research team monitoring the data transfer went completely silent. Yuna's translation algorithm was working overtime. It wasn't just translating words or technical specifications. It was learning, adapting, creating new pathways of understanding that no previous human or alien system had ever conceived. "They're watching us," she said quietly, pointing to a subtle data stream that indicated active alien observation. "And they have no idea what we're doing." The research facility was a controlled chaos of brilliant minds. Young engineers worked alongside seasoned scientists, their computers generating thousands of potential technological iterations every minute. They were doing something unprecedented, reverse engineering alien technology and improving it in real time. Sungmin's latest breakthrough involved a quantum entanglement processor. The original alien design was efficient but rigid. His modification introduced flexibility, a concept that seemed to dance between mathematical precision and creative intuition. "It's like they designed a perfect machine," he explained to his team, "but we're giving it the ability to dream." Outside the facility, global communication networks were buzzing. Governments, scientific institutions, and tech companies were all watching the live data streams. This wasn't just a technological leap. This was a moment that would define human potential. The alien observation team continued monitoring, their complex algorithms trying to predict and understand human actions. But humans had always been masters of the unexpected. Yuna's translation program was now doing something extraordinary. It wasn't just translating alien technological language, it was creating new communication protocols that merged human creativity with alien precision. "We're not just learning their technology," she told Sungmin, "we're teaching them something about us." By the end of the third day, Sungmin had developed 3 significant improvements to the alien quantum processing system. Each improvement introduced an element of adaptability that the original designers had never considered possible. The research facility felt different. There was a sense of excitement, of breakthrough, of something monumental happening. These weren't just technological improvements. This was humanity showing the universe its true potential. As the final data streams were processed, Sungmin looked at Yuna and smiled. They both knew this was just the beginning. The aliens had shared their technology expecting to demonstrate superiority. Instead, they had unleashed human potential. Somewhere in the vast darkness of space, an alien research team was about to receive a transmission that would change everything they understood about technological evolution. Humanity had just entered the galactic stage, and they were ready to rewrite the rules. The massive holographic war room hummed with tension. Giant screens displayed complex battle simulations, each one showing potential conflict scenarios between human and alien forces. Kwon Dae-hyun stood at the center, his fingers touching multiple projection points, manipulating strategic models with an almost musical precision. Alien military commanders watched the human strategic simulation with growing confusion. Their own battle tactics were built on thousands of years of calculated warfare. Precise, predictable, mathematically perfect. Human strategies looked like controlled chaos. "They're not following any standard tactical protocols," muttered a senior alien military advisor, watching the holographic displays. Kim Min-seo, the tactical simulation expert, smiled quietly. Unpredictability was humanity's greatest weapon. The simulation showed a small human fleet facing overwhelming alien force. Traditional military doctrine would suggest immediate retreat or surrender, but humans didn't play by those rules. Daehyun's fingers moved quickly. Instead of maintaining traditional defensive formations, the human fleet began splitting into smaller, seemingly random groups. They moved like water, fluid, adaptive, impossible to predict. The alien commanders watched in growing frustration. Their targeting systems, designed to calculate precise attack vectors, suddenly became useless. The human ships were changing positions, combining and separating in patterns that defied logical understanding. "This is not warfare," one alien commander growled. "This is madness." Min-seo leaned closer to the simulation. Each human ship was not just a weapon platform, but a thinking, adapting unit. They communicated rapidly, shared resources, and made decisions faster than any centralized command could process. One particular moment in the simulation caught everyone's attention. When the alien fleet launched a concentrated attack on the human fleet's center, the human ships didn't just defend. They actually used the attack's energy to boost their own momentum, turning a potential destruction into an unexpected advantage. Daehyun explained it simply. "We don't fight the battle, as it's expected. We fight the battle that emerges." The simulation continued. Human ships used asteroids as impromptu shields, converted communication signals into electronic warfare tools, and transformed standard technological limitations into strategic advantages. Alien military analysts began taking detailed notes. This wasn't just a different approach to warfare. This was a complete reimagining of conflict strategy. Min-seo's algorithm tracked every movement. The human fleet wasn't just surviving. They were teaching the aliens an entirely new understanding of strategic engagement. "They're treating battle like a living system," one alien strategist whispered. "Not a mechanical process, but an organic, evolving interaction." Daehyun understood something fundamental. Warfare wasn't about overwhelming force, but about adaptability, creativity, and the ability to turn unexpected situations into opportunities. The simulation ended. The human fleet, despite being numerically inferior, had not just survived but effectively neutralized the entire alien attack force. Silence filled the war room. The alien commanders looked stunned, their centuries of military doctrine suddenly feeling obsolete. "How?" one of them finally asked. Min-seo's response was simple. "We don't follow rules. We create them." Outside the simulation room, the implications were clear. Humanity wasn't just entering the galactic stage. They were rewriting the entire playbook of interstellar conflict. The aliens had expected a predictable opponent. Instead, they discovered a species that could turn limitations into strengths, transform challenges into opportunities, and view warfare not as a mechanical process, but as a dynamic, creative engagement. Daehyun looked at the final simulation results. It wasn't about winning or losing. It was about demonstrating that human potential had no fixed boundaries. The galaxy was about to learn a valuable lesson. Never underestimate a species capable of reimagining the impossible. The negotiation chamber was silent, tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Lee Jun-ho sat perfectly still, his hands resting calmly on the smooth metallic table. Across from him, 3 alien diplomats attempted their most sophisticated psychological warfare technique, a complex mental manipulation designed to break down any species' resolve. They didn't understand humans. The aliens had spent centuries developing a communication strategy that could psychologically dismantle any known galactic civilization. Their technique involved simultaneous emotional bombardment, projecting complex neural frequencies meant to induce doubt, fear, and psychological submission. Kang Hye-jin, watching from a remote monitoring station, observed the interaction with scientific precision. Her research had revealed something extraordinary about human psychological structures. They didn't just resist psychological pressure, they transformed it. Junho's mind was like a flexible shield. Where other species would collapse under the alien mental assault, he remained calm. More than calm, he was analyzing, understanding, preparing to turn their strategy against them. The alien diplomats began their attack. Waves of carefully constructed, emotional frequencies designed to trigger deep-seated insecurities started washing over Junho. Most species would show immediate signs of psychological stress: slight muscle twitches, perspiration, subtle changes in breathing patterns. Junho didn't move. Instead, he smiled. The aliens exchanged confused glances. Their most advanced psychological weaponry was meeting unexpected resistance. Hye-jin's monitoring equipment showed something remarkable. Junho wasn't just blocking their psychological attack. He was studying it, understanding its structural components, preparing to respond in a way they couldn't predict. Fascinating, she muttered, watching the real-time neural mapping. The alien diplomats increased their psychological pressure. Complex frequency waves that had systematically dismantled hundreds of galactic civilizations were now being channeled directly at Junho. He responded by asking a simple question. "Would you like some tea?" The question itself was a psychological counterattack. It was so unexpected, so completely outside their prepared scenario, that it momentarily disrupted their entire communication strategy. Humans, the aliens were discovering, didn't follow standard psychological rules. Where other species would fight, defend, or collapse, humans found creative, unexpected responses. Junho's tea invitation wasn't just a random suggestion. It was a deliberate strategy to demonstrate psychological flexibility. He was showing them that emotional control wasn't about resistance but about understanding and redirecting energy. The alien diplomats' sophisticated systems began to malfunction. Their predictive models, built on thousands of years of psychological warfare, couldn't process this level of adaptive thinking. Hye-jin's research had always suggested that human psychological resilience came from a unique combination of emotional complexity, creative thinking, and an ability to find humor and connection in the most challenging situations. Junho continued smiling, now pouring imaginary tea, completely calm, under what should have been a devastating psychological assault. The aliens were experiencing something they had never encountered, a species that didn't just survive psychological pressure, but seemed to find it almost amusing. Their advanced neural frequency generators, capable of breaking down the most resilient civilizations, were now producing what could only be described as a psychological equivalent of static noise. "Shall we discuss the actual diplomatic matters?" Junho asked, his voice steady, his eyes bright with an emotion that seemed dangerously close to enjoyment. The diplomatic chamber, designed for psychological warfare, had become a classroom where humans were teaching an unexpected lesson about mental flexibility. Hye-jin watched the monitors, her own smile growing. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't technological or physical. It was the ability to remain fundamentally, wonderfully human, regardless of the pressure. The aliens had come, expecting to break a species. Instead, they were learning that some species cannot be broken. They can only be understood. And understanding, they were discovering, was a much more challenging process. The Galactic Confederation's central chamber was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Massive crystalline structures rose from the floor, each representing a different alien civilization. Holographic displays danced with complex diplomatic protocols that had remained unchanged for thousands of years. Park Ji-won walked to the central platform. He wasn't tall, he wasn't physically imposing, but something about his presence made the entire chamber fall silent. Earth's representative carried no weapons. He wore a simple dark suit that seemed almost plain compared to the elaborate ceremonial attire of other galactic delegates. But his eyes told a different story. They were sharp, intelligent, and carried a quiet confidence that seemed to challenge everything around him. The senior Confederation representative began the standard diplomatic introduction. Humanity's application for full galactic membership will be evaluated based on established protocols developed over 10,000 standard galactic cycles. Jiwan listened carefully. Then he did something completely unexpected. No, he said simply. The entire chamber went silent. No species had ever directly rejected the standard evaluation process. Choi Soo-yeon, Earth's diplomatic director, watched from a side platform. She knew exactly what Jiwan was doing. He wasn't asking for membership. He was offering partnership. "We're not here to be evaluated," Jiwan continued. "We're here to collaborate. Our terms are simple: mutual respect, open technological exchange, and recognition of our unique approach to galactic interaction." The alien representatives looked confused. Their diplomatic algorithms couldn't process this approach. Every previous species had either begged for membership or presented aggressive expansion proposals. Humans were doing something entirely different. Jiwan walked closer to the central holographic display. With a casual movement, he began manipulating the diplomatic projection, something that was technically forbidden, but he moved with such confidence that no one stopped him. He restructured the entire membership diagram, creating new connection pathways that hadn't existed before. Where previous civilizations saw rigid hierarchical structures, humans saw flexible networks. "We don't want to join your system," Jiwan explained. "We want to improve it." The chamber buzzed with translation systems trying to understand the nuanced communication. Humans weren't challenging the system. They were reimagining it. Soo-yeon watched her colleague with professional pride. This wasn't just diplomacy. This was a fundamental demonstration of human potential. The senior Confederation representative's communication tentacles shifted color, a sign of extreme confusion and emerging respect. Humans were breaking every single established diplomatic protocol, and doing it with such elegant simplicity that it was becoming impossible to refuse. Jiwan's final proposal was breathtaking in its simplicity. Instead of asking for membership, he proposed a new model of galactic cooperation where Earth would serve as a bridge between different civilizations, not as a superior force, but as a collaborative partner. "We bring creativity," he said. "Not just technological innovation, but a way of thinking that sees challenges as opportunities." The chamber remained silent. The holographic displays around Jiwan began subtly changing, adapting to his proposed structure. It was as if the very diplomatic system was learning, evolving in real time. Soo-yeon knew what was happening. Humans weren't just applying for membership. They were redesigning the entire concept of galactic interaction. When Jiwan finished speaking, something unprecedented occurred. The Confederation's senior representatives didn't vote. They didn't debate. They simply understood. Humanity had just entered the galactic stage, not as a new member but as a transformative force. The universe would never be the same again.